What has legal experts concerned is not a single outburst or statement. It is the pattern forming underneath it. Trump's responses are becoming more personal, more absolute, and less strategic. In federal cases, that shift matters. Lawyers are trained to filter emotion. Judges expect restraint. When a defendant's behavior starts driving decisions instead of legal advice, courts notice. Former prosecutors explain that judges quietly track conduct over time. Public attacks, aggressive filings, and refusal to adjust tone can influence how much flexibility a court is willing to grant. This does not mean punishment for speech, but it does mean less patience. Trump appears to be burning through that patience rapidly. The alarming part is that these behaviors are happening as legal risk increases, not decreases. That combination often signals that a defendant is reacting emotionally rather than planning legally. Courts interpret that as instability, not strength. Trump's identity has always been tied to authority. He commands rooms, he dominates narratives, but in a courtroom, authority flows in one direction only. Judges do not negotiate dominance, they enforce order. This is where ego becomes a liability. When Trump challenges judges publicly or frames legal rulings as personal attacks, he is misreading the environment. Courts respond by tightening structure, not backing down. Every escalation outside the courtroom invites stricter control inside it. Legal analysts say this clash is inevitable for figures who have never been forced to submit to external authority. The law does not care who you were, it only cares what you do next. Behavior does not change evidence, but it changes context. Judges decide schedules, enforcement timing, and tolerance for error. When a defendant appears unwilling to respect boundaries, courts remove flexibility. That is already happening here. Deadlines are firmer, warnings are sharper, options are narrowing. None of that is accidental. Legal professionals emphasize that the most dangerous moment for any defendant is when the court decides it must protect the process from them. At that point, discretion disappears. This is where stress becomes visible. Trump's public messaging shows signs of fixation, repeated phrases, escalating language, personal grievances overtaking legal arguments. Psychologists who study high-power individuals note that loss of control often triggers intensified behavior, not restraint. The instinct is to push harder, even when pushing backfires. In Trump's case, that instinct is colliding with a system that responds only with structure and consequence. Insiders suggest Trump is increasingly resistant to moderation. That matters because legal defense requires discipline. When a client overrides counsel, strategies fracture. Judges sense when filings no longer reflect careful planning. They become less forgiving of mistakes. Trump's team now appears constrained by his reactions rather than guided by long-term strategy.